Hi, welcome back. Thanks for tuning in. I appreciate it. I hope you're doing well. You and yours are doing well. We're doing pretty good here. There's been a lot going on for me lately, and my family lately. Um, Everything's okay. It's been a very high contrast couple of weeks. Some pretty big highs and some lows, some big lows too. But we're okay. So I'm not really gonna go into that, at least at the moment. But it's funny how it's obvious to say life is just ever changing, and it's incredible how you can pass from like sort of one phase into the next without even really seeing it. Just as a random example, the weather now. We here in the Northeast of the states, we've had more of those days with the Canadian wildfire smoke coming over the border and making the skies really hazy, and it's unpleasant. It really stinks. And I think it was last Monday and Tuesday where it was pretty heavy, and they have a measurement system that I don't fully understand, like a rating system for the quality of the air. Sorry, of course, as soon as I start taping, my eyes get itchy. I'm sorry, sorry. You know the drill with me if you watch me often enough. I don't realize I've got an itch until the camera's on. Anyway, so I was trying to read about that, and like a reading of microparticles or whatever in the atmosphere for last Monday was 158, and then it was like a little less the day after. And I guess they rate the air up to a scale of 500. So like if it was 500, that'd be well, you would probably be dead. But everything I guess over 200 is fairly unhealthy. So being at 158, you could definitely feel it, and you could absolutely see it in the sky. And yeah, my allergies started to go. And even though I started allergy shots in the fall and went every week for 6 months, I felt, you know, kind of had a headache on Monday. And then I also discovered that ragweed season started early by almost a month, which when I went to the allergist for my now monthly shot, now that I got through the first 6 months for allergies, she she said it before I could. She said global warming, like meaning ragweed season starts earlier because it's warmer. So now it's like settling in, like this is kind of part of the new normal, which is abnormal. But after Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday and Friday, and yesterday were all better. It dropped to whatever the average for the season, 25 or 30, was the rating out of 500, and you could definitely tell that it was better, and you could see the sky. The sky looked more normal. Excuse me, per se. And it's funny how like the cumulative effect of things will sit in my mind and my awareness. Like if you've got another, say, weird thing going on in your life at the same time as the skies are sooty, you start to have more sad thoughts, depressive thoughts. And so I need to work against that to make sure I don't slip too far down into that rabbit hole. But it seems that it's something that I wrote about in my first book, but I think we're really feeling what I referred to in the first book as the 200 years of the modern industrialized man, or mankind, humanity, where let's say the industrial age begins around 1900, and now 120 something years later, we're on a path where the rate of advancement with technology is so fast that the world is changing so constantly and so rapidly that it's disorienting. and there's a lot of social and political upheaval and change all at the same time. So it's certainly not a boring era to live in, but it might be a little too much excitement sometimes because there's just so much going on. And yeah, if you just are consumed by the news, it seems like it's like the daily panic button, you know. So of course, you gotta limit your consumption, and you gotta fill your life with as many of the things that you enjoy as you can, so that you sort of maintain your spirit and your perspective. But we have a lot of disruption right now. I say that all the time, so kind of like a broken record, and that's making it hard for a lot of people. You see it with the way people behave sometimes. More quick to anger or get frustrated, or people get yelling and more confrontational more quickly because they're agitated by the sort of cumulative effect of all the things that are going on. And I feel that in my dreams too. It's a running theme. If you if you've watched enough of my videos, then you know that I'm almost always dreaming about sort of this endless tug of war between light and dark. That must be my theme for. It seems like my theme lately, and I feel it within myself too. You feel the tug of light and dark within yourself too, and we always have the ability to choose how we're going to respond and react to situations and what we're going to put out there. And that's like it's a never-ending thing of trying to sort of maintain your evenness and not get overly worked up about things that aren't worth it, especially things that aren't worth it, that aren't worth responding to, so that you don't create more negative energy in your responses. So I'll get into a little bit of the dreams I've been having. Some of them have been just total scrambled eggs, and I can't remember them at all. But there was one that was really, as usual, appropriately bizarre and cosmic that I thought I would share. Let me switch here. I had it probably 2 weeks ago now, and as usual, it was a dream about creation and what was going on, and it was a super psychedelic dream. I wish I could translate it right from my mind to a piece of paper or make a little movie. There's just no way. Just first of all, the colors were all psychedelic, so like every color you can imagine, and shades, and a lot of swirling energy, and a lot of like sort of tube-like color, like it's so hard to describe, almost like colors coming forward in waves at me, like, and swirls all the time. But like here's like a yellow, and here's like a purple, and here's like a pink, and here's a white, and here's a green, and they're all just coming forward like a vortex, constantly. And what I realize in this particular dream is that these vortexes of color are kind of like they're just energy, and they're unformed energy. Like they haven't become. They're about to become something, but they haven't become something yet. And in the dream, I have the sense that I can manipulate the energy, and it's kind of like almost like I'm standing in for, like, I don't know about God exactly, but a God or a creator. So it's kind of like I'm one and the same in the dream. And the energy is directed to create kind of a machine, but the machine too is all wavy colors. So even though it has the shape of a sort of a rectangular big machine in a space, the space isn't totally defined because you don't totally see the walls. Like anything that might be a wall is just swirling color. And the machine itself, even though it's made up of swirling colors, is ever changing within itself. So even like it's not sharp corners and edges. All of the corners and edges are nebulous, as if it's sort of like constantly, it's alive and it's ever vibrating, for lack of better description. And this machine, its purpose is to create, it seems like it's to create souls or new beings. And I'm not really sure if they were human or alien. It didn't really matter. That wasn't the idea. But clearly, this machine creates souls. So I was thinking to myself later, like after the dream, does obviously I believe in some kind of creator. That's obvious. But did the creator begin by creating a machine to help construct souls so that it would be easier to do, like a factory? Like, okay, I'm going to create a bunch of souls, but instead of creating every single one of them by hand, I'm gonna I'm gonna invent my own cosmic factory to help me pump these out. And that's what was going on. And like the souls were kind of like coming out of like tubes, almost like they were almost being squeezed out like toothpaste, like in sort of drop-like shapes, and then they would sort of form more as they emerged from the machine. And yes, it was like a production line. It was like an assembly line, and I was watching the souls getting pumped out. And then what I realized was that some bad actor, we'll just call it a bad actor, from who knows where, tries to trick the machine into creating more bad actors. So it's like it kind of like hacks the machine. It somehow attaches to the machine and tells the machine, keep pumping out souls, but make these souls crappy. And so then I'm watching the machine get hijacked, and the machine doesn't recognize that it's been tricked, and so it does. It pumps out these more negative souls too. Of course, I don't think anyone should take this literally as a representation of what may have happened when the creator presumably began creating souls. I don't believe that. But what I do believe is this, in thinking about the dream after, that let's just assume that the creator is wholly good. Like truly the creator is pure love. And pure love, pure creativity, pure science, pure logic. It's what I always refer to as that combination of math and magic. And the creator is at the beginning, and there is nothing else but the creator. And the creator is perfection in and of itself, but the creator is alone. And so the creator decides to create life. And as soon as you create a realm where you have free will, where you have created beings that have free will, then they will inevitably make choices that are close to the pure goodness of the creator and less good. And that scale is kind of it's very broad, and we know when we're acting more from our best selves and our less best selves, but it's kind of inevitable that any sort of 3D reality with mortal beings in physical embodied animal bodies, animal forms, you're going to get every type of behavior that there is. especially that since we have free will, like, which again I perceive as a gift from the Creator. So it's like inevitable that everything that is less than God is going to be not perfect. Or you don't meet a lot of people who are purely love, like just 100% love or 100% darkness. Um, Although, given the political situation in the United States of the last 7, 8 years that keeps dragging on, I might argue that the former president is about as close to a representation of the total absence of life as you can get, since he has apparently really never done a truly charitable act in his life. He has never acted out of the desire to help another person, another being. He only ever acts purely in self-interest, and that is his predictable defining trait, and it's not of the light. So he's pretty far from the ideal. And in thinking back to my dream with the machine getting hacked and some, bad actor trying to trick the machine into creating negative souls, it does make me pause and wonder slightly if that really could happen, because 45 in particular is such a match for that description. But yet still, I don't think so. I don't think so. I don't know so, but I don't think so, because that I don't see that the Creator would be that naive as to not expect his own creation, some of his own creations, to, I guess you could say, to turn on him. And this is a concept that I've heard. I believe I hear the cardinal outside. Can you hear it? And I believe this is a concept that Sterling, Psychic Medium, sometimes talks about on his channel. He says that there are fallen angels. His concept of angels is that there are beings that angels are beings who are very different from humans, and that their purpose is entirely to help humans. They don't have the same. Their souls are constructed differently. And they even actually have more. They're more powerful than human souls generally, and they were created for the purpose of helping human souls and maybe souls on other planets of other types of beings. But then Sterling has also commented that the fallen angels are ones that decide not to follow the beliefs and the teachings, if you will, of, say, the Creator, which is to help others, to be loving, to be empathetic, to be unselfish, to be generous. Same thing. And so at some point, there were some fallen angels that rejected the Creator, and maybe they think the Creator is stupid or naive, or doesn't understand what it's really like to be here in the physical realm of light and dark, and is not realistic about its goals for the life it's created, or whatever the reasoning is. But they decide they're going to turn away from their Creator, and they are going to be disruptive instead. So I could see where, that you could have quote unquote fallen angels who they kind of try to make things a little crappier for everybody. Maybe they're jealous of the Creator and the Creator's ability and talent and love, even, who knows. So again, going back to the dream, I could even imagine that there could be bad actor, former angels who are trying to mucky muck the system in some broader way, but who knows? It's all just sort of speculation on my part. But it seems to me, given the powerful and beautiful energies that I've come across, that I've felt in my life, that the majority of the Creator's creations, and especially maybe the more angelic beings who might be our spirit guides, or what they say are birth angels and things like this, they do want to follow the teachings or the philosophy of the Creator. They do want to embrace and love and empathy and spread that feeling, because, when you embody that feeling, either as a person or as an angel, as much as possible, you inherently experience more joy, and you kind of radiate that joy outward too, and other people feel it. So the way that we are in daily life, and the way that we enter spaces and conversations and interactions with other people really has a big effect on the other people. So, having said all that, don't get the impression that I don't struggle with my day-to-day, how I feel day-to-day, and how I project myself into the world. Because just like everybody, some days are better than others, and some days I'm more on form than others, and calm and relaxed and introspective and connected, and other days that are chaotic. I might not have as much control over my energy as I would like, and I respond in a way that is not the ideal, and it doesn't help anything. It adds tension to situations, and it adds discomfort and all these sort of feelings that just messy muck feelings that nobody wants to have resonating in your life. And just as a short example, I live in the city of Buffalo, and it's our neighborhoods are pretty mixed as far as races and things. And the day after the Supreme Court decision that ended affirmative action, that was such a weird day energetically, I felt, because I was in a pretty reasonably good mood, but I felt like being out in public, that there was weird juju around. And like, for example, when I went to the bank, it's a drive-through that's pretty close to my house. I was gonna make a withdrawal, and someone had pulled into the drive-through ATM backwards. Okay, so as I'm coming around this bend and I'm headed towards the ATM, I can already see that there's a car. I think it was like a Mercedes or something, like a nice car, that was backwards, which means already we have to navigate this space when they finish so that they can get by me and I can get by them. And it's a fairly wide lane, double lane, but yet this is complication. This is complication number one in the scenario. But then complication number two is that there's someone in front of me who has zipped into the parking lot from the other side, and they are trying to beat me to the ATM. But once they get about 40 feet from the car that's facing us in the wrong direction, and they stop, they just stop dead in the parking lot, and the woman gets out and is like talking and to someone in the car, and so now I can't move any further ahead into the lane because she's cut me off. I'm behind her, but now because I'm halfway turned, I'm blocking the car that pulled into the ATM backwards, and they can't pass by me. But this is all happening at the same time, and the car at the ATM finishes its transaction, and they're driving towards both of the other vehicles. And but they can't get by me, and I can't move, and the car in front of me has decided that they're not going to move anymore at all. They've changed their mind about going to the ATM. So like, and I'm just like just sitting in my truck, just like, whew, here we go, and um, and everybody was agitated. I mean, I was the calmest of them all. The people in the car that were facing the people in the car that started backwards in the ATM happened to be black. The people in the car ahead of me happened to be Latino, and eventually what happened was the Mercedes tried to get by me, but they couldn't get by me, and I'm looking the driver right in the eye, and I'm like, because I can't move because I'm sandwiched, and I'm afraid to back up because I don't know if this Mercedes is going to try to just speed by me, because you know how people drive now. And then eventually the woman in front of me who had cut me off, she backs out instead of going forward to the ATM or even just going around through the ATM to complete the loop and like get out of the way. So she backs up, and then finally I can move forward, and then finally the Mercedes can pass me. But in this moment, there's all this tension in the air, and I was just like, whoa, this is weird juju. And then there was more weird juju. Like I had a similar thing as I was coming back home, because our street is narrow and you're only allowed to park on one side of the street. But as I neared my own driveway, there was a person parked legally on my side of the street, and then a person parked illegally on the opposite side of the street at the same time, which made it super difficult to get into my driveway. And the person who was parked illegally was sitting in their car and not moving, and and they also happened to be black. So, I'm feeling like this weird energy. Like, I don't know if it's like about people feeling irritated and mad and acting out from there, and whether they're consciously aware of creating discomfort, or they are unconsciously creating a potentially angry situation. But I didn't want to buy into it because I could just see it. It's so weird to be able to see it. So I don't know, what can I say? I'm definitely sensitive to energies in general, and but my dreams are also reflecting it. So that's quite a ramble as usual. I just ramble. I just talk. I don't know where it's going. I kind of do, and then I don't. And then last night I had a dream that again was like had a lot of different elements in it that I won't get into. It was sort of winding and long, and again just sort of about light and dark sort of doing their thing. But what I found interesting about it was there was a part where clearly I was trying to embody my better aspects. And so I was trying to be zen in the dream when all this drama was going on. And I was among some people. I don't know if it was like at a fair, but it was some kind of outdoor event with a lot of people. And there was, for lack of a better description, there was kind of like this cosmic clay that you could play with. So I had like a little ball of clay, or it almost looked like dough, like bread dough. And I don't know why I knew that if you sort of put your hands around it and closed your eyes, and you sort of projected a thought or projected a mood out, the clay / dough would respond. And the first thing that happened was I was trying to put out positive energy, and I could feel that I could feel the clay moving in my hand, and it was spreading out, and it was sort of flattening into like an oval shape, like this, not a circle, but more of an oval, and it sort of flattened a bit. And as it changed shape in my hands, which, I had my eyes closed, but I could feel it changing in my hands, the outer edge, the outer rim of it became harder, like, and the inner part was softer and remained softer. And then, so it sort of spread itself, and it hardened around the edges, and then it was soft in the middle, as if it was actually still sort of undulating. that's a $20 word, undulating. And then when I opened my eyes, it was a super cool combination of colors. The outer rim that was harder was like a dark blue, almost into indigo, like the chakras. And then the center was like deep violet, like the crown chakra. And I usually associate those colors with, the top chakras and energetically as being higher energy, higher positivity. So it was like the feeling and the thought that I was having translated right into this mutable dough-like substance, and then it took shape, and then it was a shape, and it had a sparkliness like all within it, like almost like the colors as they came in from the edges were almost like the colors in an iris, like in an eyeball, where they were like sort of like little like points to accentuate the colors, sort of like angular light maybe as part of the finished object. So it was really cool. It was just cool. And I thought, oh, cool. Okay. Like I'm in the right space to conjure this or to influence this. And then, there was another, as I kind of continued around this festival or whatever it was, I had another opportunity to play with some of this dough. And then I felt like I was supposed to demonstrate to some other people, like that they could do it too. And that, like, and here's how it works kind of thing. And then when I did this next one, I was envisioning, I don't know if I was specifically envisioning a peace symbol or I just was thinking of peace and let that be reflected in the shape that emerges. But when this one sort of flattened out and hardened, it was it had a piece, kind of a stretched out peace symbol on the top, and it was more just white or sort of like yellowish white, like a doughy, kind of color with the peace symbol right on top of it. And I was like, okay, here's this. And so that was kind of neat. And I don't mean to at all suggest that I have some ability or insight or am so much more zen than anybody else that I walk around in this heightened state all the time. It's really not like that. I think a lot of times in the dreams, I'm having the experience, but I'm a stand-in for just that energy, that good energy, and the imagery is just a reminder of how that's the ideal to strive towards. Because honestly, with like the way things have been lately, it's just both locally, globally, regionally. I mean, the whole climate change has definitely been on my mind a lot, and I believe what many of the psychics have said, that's going to be like the next big challenge, and it's like right on our doorstep now. Like before, it was kind of like down the line, the nebulous future, but now it's like it's really kicking in, and then when you just add that to the daily stuff that you have to take care of, and some daily dramas, some unexpected daily dramas, then you can feel stressed and you get out of touch with your core, your center, and you feel off balance. And it's not really been helped by the fact that even though I went for allergy shots all through the fall in hopes that I would be more symptom free this year because I've read about, like, nationally the pollen is has increased. Pollen production has increased in the United States over the last 50 years. I can't remember if it was by 20% or 25% or maybe even 50%. It was a lot. And they were attributing that to climate change. And if you, like me, are, allergic to grass, tree, and ragweed pollens, then if there's more ragweed and it starts earlier and the season lasts longer, that's just all bad. It's bad for singing because it obstructs singing for someone who has allergies like myself. And I had been doing pretty well this summer up until literally last Monday, which was also the day of the wildfire smoke coming down again strongly, Monday and Tuesday primarily, and then it seemed to clear by Wednesday, which I don't understand what the pattern is, or why 2 days and not, say, 4 days or 5 days or 6 days, or how we'll learn more about how these patterns work, I'm sure, because unfortunately this is far from the end of it. So, yeah, and then it affected my voice. So when I sang last night, I could hit all the notes, but there was a graininess that you might even hear now in my voice that I just didn't like the way it sounded. It just didn't sound as clean, and so it wasn't as much fun to sing. And I sang, but like there was a part of me that was just feeling sad the entire time and wondering lots of things, including like, should I take every summer off from singing? How bad is it going to get? Is it going to get worse into the season the longer the season goes? And those questions can't be answered yet. But the thought of giving up, say, the next 4 to 6 months of performing when it's something that I just love so much is very, very uncomfortable. But, it's like another one of those things in life where as we age, because age can be part of allergies too. Your immune system, whatever, maybe doesn't work quite as well as it used to, or who knows. And plus the increases and then global warming and blah, blah, blah. Just keep piling it on, You get to junctures in your life where you wonder if you can go and do a thing that you have always done and continue to experience it and do it in the same way. And if it gets to the point where I think, you know what, this isn't working and I have to stop singing, it won't be fun. It'll be really shitty, and I'll have to really work at keeping a positive attitude about my life in general, because it's such a big part. Now, of course, if I stopped performing for half the year or something like that, I could still work on music on the computer. I have a lot of compositions in progress. I could still be recording and creating, and maybe I would just I would work on other parts of songs, not necessarily vocals, for the part of the year during which I'm most sensitive to the weather. And then what happens is, if you have allergies, well, and it depends where you live too, obviously. But when it gets colder and you get into frosts are really good at getting garbage off your vocal cords. And you get the garbage off your vocal cords by maintaining your regimen, your vocal exercises, all your daily maintenance to remain a singer. So it can be a lot. Some people have to warm up more than others. I do vocal exercises every day for about 15 or 20 minutes. I try not to miss, because missing is kind of like not stretching a muscle that needs to be stretched. And then you notice it pretty quickly. But I'm also fighting allergies, and I'm fighting time and age. So yeah, that's another weird aspect of things for me right now that I'm not enjoying. But we'll see how it goes. I mean, I'll do my vocal exercises again today, see how they feel, and figure out whether I'm going to continue to perform this summer shortly. Pretty soon, I guess. So, I didn't necessarily mean to meander there, but of course it's been on my mind. And if you've been listening all this time, thanks for doing so. Let's see, what time is it? Mr. Shea, the cat, is right here at my feet. He is a happy boy. Okay, it's almost 1. And it's time to feed the birds and squirrels again. I can hear the birds out there. There's some seed left from yesterday. For those of you who follow on the squirrel life here, Jack, the one we've been calling Jack that has the white mark on the right side of its face, so that I know her. She must have had a litter, because my neighbor Chuck over here said that he saw her coming down the driveway with one in her mouth. She must have been moving them from one nest to another. And so whereas we didn't know what gender Jack was, now we know for sure that Jack is Jackie, because we can see that she's been feeding them. And that's exactly the same thing that happened with the original friendly squirrel, Ellie, and then Aaron too. We didn't know if they were boys or girls until they started having litters, and then we knew. And Jackie, she definitely pays attention to both Chuck and I when we talk to her and when we call, and she doesn't come as close as Ellie did, where she would literally take the peanuts from your hand, but she comes very close. And I woke up from a nap maybe a week or two ago, and she was in my window. She had been on the window too on the screen, but I could see her in the window standing on the deck chair looking in like, are you home? Are you gonna give up the peanuts or what? So of course I always do when I see her. And that's just fun and funny. And the cardinal, I've seen both male and female cardinal this summer, more the male, more in the evenings, like more in the early evenings, right when the sun goes down, because I've probably related before that I guess they do sometimes tend to stick to sunset because they're trying to, because they're so colorful, they're trying to evade predators by operating in less light. So, but I do see them during the daytime too. But they are skittish. They're more skittish than the sparrows. Sometimes hard to get a photograph. So, that is the news from Buffalo. I hope you're doing great. If you've got any interesting observations or dreams you'd like to share in the comments or feedback, that's of course always welcome. I found my friend Kim Carey's recent videos pretty interesting. She echoed in a recent video what the psychic Jean Mail has said on her website about climate change being a major, sort of the next major shift for humans in the next 30 years, and that there will definitely be some migration towards away from the west and the south, depending on the area that you're in. Definitely away from some of the coasts where the sea levels rise, and more towards the north and the northeast, and even up into Canada, as the sort of whole, as the seasons change sort of across the whole continent and around the world. And so Kim was talking about that. That was kind of the first time she projected it 20 or 30 years into the future. Whereas Jean Mayell, and that's spelled Mayell, Jean Mayell, she doesn't do YouTube videos. She does online. She has a website, I think under her own name, where you can read about her predictions, like into the near future and into the far future. And I read about her predictions about climate change maybe 3 or 4 or even 5 years ago. So she was really she was really clairvoyant. I mean, she really saw it much earlier than some of the others have. So if that interests you, I mean, don't get doom and gloom. about it, but it's definitely something to think about. When I think about 130 degrees in Phoenix, that's really unimaginable because I've only ever experienced up to 100 degrees, maybe or so, when I've been in New York City, and that is not fun, not fun, and hard to sleep. So I don't know what the future of Phoenix will be. Seems a little iffy, but what can we do? This is the situation we're in. We need to find more solutions to our energy needs. We need to keep working towards a green future as much as is possible because, yeah, this thing won't stop. Okay, well, that's a bit of a down note. I apologize. But be well. Take care. Again, thanks for watching. If you watched all the way through, congratulations. I appreciate it. And again, of course, comments always welcome. And blessings and love to you and yours. See you again soon, I hope. Okay, bye.